What's up, everybody? Welcome to the latest episode of Rich and Turbo Heavy Half Hour. I am Rich. Find me on X at FuzzDoomRip and all the other socials at rich.paiva. As a Doom Charts contributor and writing reviews for Musopedia of Metal, and I have my partner with me, Turbo. Turbo, what's going on?
I'm here.
Excellent, you are. And your audio's working and your video's working. You only swore like 20 times before the show started, so this is kind of a record for us. Excellent. We're very excited. We have the Utah band. I didn't want to say Salt Lake City specifically, but the Utah band Hibernaut with us. And we just lost their video. You guys still there?
We're here.
There it is.
Okay.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Good. Doing good.
Excellent. We have Dave, and we have Josh, and we have Matt from Hibernaut. And we're excited to talk about the new record that comes out on Friday. If we're looking at our calendar right now, this episode's going to drop on the 8th in this week on Friday. The new record from Hibernaut comes out. It's called Obsidian Eye. It's, for those of us in the U.S., I purposely wore my Olde Magick Records shirt today because you can get their record and cassette like somebody on this podcast did. Pre-ordered, got my shipping notice today, so go and do that today. But we're excited to talk about the new record because we love it. And how you guys doing?
Doing good. Pretty good. Excellent. Yeah. I'm stoked to be talking to you.
Excellent. Thank you for coming on the show. And we've spent some time with the record. It's gigantic and huge and caveman-like in the best possible way. What can you guys tell us about the record just from your own words?
Well, I mean, saying it's caveman-like, I love it because that's just kind of how we do things. We just do it, and put it out there. It's like there's certainly a lot of thought that goes into it, but I mean, we want that raw sound, and yeah, just to have it be kind of an assault on your ears.
Yeah, and if the term caveman's going to get us in the same lane as like Conan and stuff, then that's very all right.
Yeah, absolutely. That'll work. To me, I'm some of the obvious. Conan actually came to mind. I think you guys pick up the pace a little bit more than Conan does in some of from a tempo standpoint. But that kind of pummeling, coming at you constantly with the pummeling, it reminds me of that. But some of the other obvious comparisons, you hear things like High on Fire, maybe a little Electric Wizard in there. What are some of the other bands that you maybe were channeling during the recording and writing of this record?
Well, I mean, I would say Celtic Frost is one that I listen to a lot, and so that was probably channeled. And I mean, I listen to so much music that it's just like, I'm sure that everything we do is affected by it. There's no really a thought of like, oh, I want it to sound like this. Like, we need to do this sound. It's just kind of like, is this a cool song? Is this a cool riff? All right, let's put it together. Let's make something happen, So it's really like, there's just so many influences that I couldn't even like list them all,
It's cool that you call out Celtic Frost first, though. We don't get a lot of bands that call that out first, like the first band that comes off their mind. And we really should have more bands who call that band out as one of their first influences because such a great band. In listening to the record, just starting from the first song, so Engorge Behemoth, number one, like song title of the year so far, definitely in the top 5. But I feel like you kind of turned up the psych on the guitar side of that song a little bit more. Am I hearing that correctly? Was there any kind of conscious effort there? Because the guitar work on that track, throughout the whole thing, but specifically on Engorge Behemoth, I hear a little bit more of the psych kind of stuff that you guys bring to the table.
Yeah, I don't know, I'd say that maybe like the opening kind of riff interlude, whatever you want to call it, like that was just kind of me playing around with pedals and stuff and being like, hey, like I think this could be something, and then I've got all that modulation stuff going on, and then Matt just started making noise over it pretty much. I mean, and yeah, just I don't know. I think it's good for putting you in a headspace of just kind of like I don't know what quite the right word.
Yeah. So he kind of comes up with all the riffs, and then we get together, and then I try to write leads over that, and just kind of what came out. Just like I feel like it does have that like psychedelic, like that really long intro lead, and then the second lead that comes in after it over that same riff goes even longer, I think. And yeah, I don't know. It just, like I said, it's like he usually comes up with the ideas, and then I'm just like, okay, what can I add to this to like fill space or whatever, while a riff is just kind of repeating. And I don't know. It just seemed to work out really well on this record.
Yeah, the you can tell. I mean, that's very cool. The kind of two guitar collaboration that you guys have going on. You can tell that there's definitely you guys have been playing together now like for a while, and there's some synergy there. Turbo, I've already taken the first 10 minutes with my questions. Now I will let you talk. What questions do you have for the guys before I continue to dominate as usual?
Yeah, thanks for pulling my string. Y'all worked with Andy Patterson. This is the second time y'all worked with him. It seems like
he's a good buddy of ours. Well, yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I like the blurb that you have on your website where it says that he's been in this business for 20 years and he's never got a noise complaint before until he started working with you guys.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I noticed like a little difference in sound from your first album until this one. This one's got a more fuller, heavier sound. We're all for the heavy and loud, so it sounds really good. What did y'all do a little different?
One thing that was different, I think, is kind of just, I mean, the songwriting in general. Like the first one, it kind of started as, I mean, I just started writing songs and I didn't know at all where I wanted to go with any of it. So it's like, I mean, was it doomy? Was it just like stoner rock? You know, and then it just kind of like, once we got stuff that everyone put in their parts, and it became something. And we had Joey Toscano on guitar for that album. And so Matt took his spot. But we, me and Zach, the drummer, we had played with Joey and Dwellers. And so, you know, he's just our buddy, and he was down to do it and was into the music. So that was awesome. And I think that with this album, it was kind of like, after doing that first album, kind of picking like a little bit more of like, oh, like what do we really like from this? You know, like what direction do we want to go into if we're going to kind of go into one? And it just became just like the thicker and, I mean, I guess faster stuff.
Yeah, it was almost kind of like a naturally kind of finding our stride type of thing on the second one. Just kind of with the riffs that Dave was coming up with and stuff, they just tended to be more heavy, and then we kind of seemed like we kind of worked on keeping them heavier and stuff. So
yeah, it sounds really good.
Yeah, it's like a full-on assault. And
thanks.
Thank you.
And Josh, to go with you, like, and you and Zach from a rhythm section standpoint, it's like a well-timed construction site that's just constantly pounding at you. Just amazing stuff. And Zach must have like 8 arms also, because there's a lot going on with that. Have you guys played as a rhythm section a lot together, and you've kind of formed that, or is this something new and you just kind of have a chemistry, or because you can hear that there's this just gigantic heavy chemistry going on?
No, we really just kind of clicked. This is the first band I played with Zach in and stuff, and we just kind of it just really clicked, and it was real easy for me to pick up on things he was doing, and then he was playing off of things that I was doing. And yeah, I think we both kind of have the same ideas of like what we think should like kind of make it heavier in certain areas and stuff. So
I compliment the drummer and he doesn't come to the interview. That's cool. We can edit that part out if you guys want. That's up to you.
Well, unfortunately, Zach lives in Oregon.
Oh.
So, and he did live here. He lived here for many years, and it was 2 years ago he moved up to Oregon. So, we've just been doing stuff remote from then. Other than when he comes down into town, then we'll always be jamming stuff, and then like writing, like we can write a bit with him there, and just send tracks back and forth. But for actual writing, he needs to be here, just like for us to get the groove together, feeling, yeah.
Oh, cool. So please pass it along to Zach. That
Well, I'm sure he'll watch this.
Okay, good. Terrible. What were you saying? I interrupted you.
Is this a full concept album? I wasn't sure. Yeah. I was reading on your website. I was trying to figure out if that's what you were relaying there.
Yeah, it is. It was interesting because it's like I think we were still finishing up recording the first album, Ingress, and I had just started. I like to write music, and I'm always wanting to do the next thing, just like keep moving forward. So I had started writing stuff already, even though we were still, recording that. I think I had my parts done, so I felt okay about just starting to write new songs. But I wrote one song, and it was just, I think it was when I started writing lyrics, I did a story, just came up with a story, and I was like, well, where can I go from here? Like with songs after this. And then it kind of got to a point where I was like, I think something can come before this. And so it was really fun to like go through that like lyrical writing process of, coming up with a horror story.
Now, I'm hoping I'm assuming, this is an assumption. First of all, looking at the vinyl, seaweed green, excellent color choice. Was there a reason for 273 copies of this being printed, or was that just how it came up? Because on your Bandcamp page it said it's a pressing of 273. Does that number have any kind of specific, does it any meaning to that number?
There isn't any special meaning to that. We ordered 250 and they shipped 273, so that's why it happened that way.
Oh, you could have come up with some kind of story around that magical number. And the reason why I'm asking about the vinyl is it looks like the packaging is amazing that I'm looking at, and the pictures, and we're gonna get lyrics in here, and obviously if you kind of pay close attention, you can understand what you're saying. Sometimes I can't understand what you're saying. And I swear to God, I thought I heard you mention Siegfried and Roy in the title track. Am I crazy? You did not mention Siegfried and Roy in the title track of the song, did you? In the lyrics there?
I didn't mention those guys.
Another opportunity missed.
Yes. And if you're going to do a video, I'm sure there are some tigers out there that we can.
Yeah.
I'll let you know where I heard it, but I swear I actually rewound it like 3 times, and I'm like, is that what he's saying? I gotta ask him if that's what he's saying. So instead of me making up, what is that particular song, the title track? Where are we in the story on that one? Because that's another one of my favorites on the record.
So that one, where we are in the story is, people are boarding a ship and they're taking their dead with them and going across the ocean and through time to go to some, a different time and a different place and find some priests that can resurrect their dead.
There's a lot of shit going on in that 8 minutes right there.
Yeah.
For sure. It's killer. Another one of my favorites. Are you thinking of doing any kind of visuals for this? Have you, maybe? Because I know Terrible's really good at finding videos out there. But have you guys done any kind of visuals for this, or any thinking about doing any, like a music video for any of the songs?
It would be really cool. I haven't known exactly what to do. We did the music video for the B-side of Beset, which Dark Light is the song. and that song is kind of like, I don't know, I guess it's from the point of view of these dark priests and this being that is taking the souls of humans, I suppose. So it's kind of like a different perspective of the album, and it kind of talks about stuff throughout the album. So that music video, you know, I found like a really cool old video from, I mean, I don't remember if it was the 30s or 40s, but was able to just put together clips of us playing and that, and, you know, thought I'd kind of, well, you know, in an artsy way, get the point across of what that song's about. But yeah, as far as the album, I just don't know what to do, because in my head it's this big long story, and I think sometimes I'm like, well, can we do like, you know, a 40-minute movie?
That'd be awesome.
So, no plans yet.
Because it would definitely it would translate to some kind of other medium, just from a story standpoint and visually and all the stuff that's going on. So I think you have a there's some opportunity there. And while I love Kiss the Elder, I was also glad that that was not a cover of the song Dark Light on Kiss the Elder, Dark Light. So while I think you guys could kill that track, I'd probably pick a better Kiss song to cover, in my opinion. But yeah, you know, I just have all of these pictures in my mind and stuff, and I think just me hearing stuff and thinking about different things is probably something that would have people go grab the lyric book and check that out. And is that something that you're looking for? Because I feel like when you do like a concept record, you want people to kind of not necessarily read along, but kind of understand where they are in the story, understand how the arc is progressing, and all of that. Is from a writing standpoint, is that what you're looking at from a lyric standpoint? Or I guess from a writing, do you have other writing background other than songs, given you've created this kind of whole story arc? Or is this just basically how you write your songs? There was a lot of questions in that one question.
How much caffeine have you had, man?
Look, I've been up for like 36 hours. I don't know what's going on. I'm drinking lemonade. That's it. That's all this is, as far as you know.
Well, yeah, I definitely want people to check out the lyrics, because writing it was, I mean, I suppose Ingress, the first album, that was all, it was all kind of, well, fairly new to me. Like, I've written a few songs before that, but not really lyrically. And it was just a lot of fun. And two songs on Ingress, I was like, okay, this will be like part 1 and part 2 lyrically. And so I extended the story, and that was my first time doing it. So, I mean, it was just a ton of fun to do this one, because I don't have a writing background. I mean, I'm a high school dropout. I think you know, writing was probably my worst subject, but I love to read, and, you know, like, and I've like, since writing Ingress and releasing that, I wrote a couple of those into short stories. Awesome. And that was super fun. And it's like, I mean, I don't know, I have all these ambitions. Like, I would love to turn Obsidian Eye into a book, but I don't know if I have the skills to do that, or the time. But, you know, it might be something I try to do at some point. But yeah, I really do like the fact that it gives you a lot of visuals, because I did realize at some point that when I write stuff, that it's like very visual based.
Yeah. Where
like I'm describing the scenes more than I don't know, like emotions or something like that.
No, that's very cool. And I would never have guessed that you didn't have any kind of like creative writing in your background before, because just the ideas and the way that they're structured and everything, it's just excellent.
Well, thanks. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Maybe, you know, Jeff Tate claims he's going to do an Operation Mindcrime, you know, play at some point. So maybe, you know, you can get some point. I mean, I don't think he's ever going to do it at this point. But seriously though, the story is excellent. And I think people are really going to dig it.
Is there a movie that it will sync up with?
Oof. You're going to have to start watching some movies and see what I can find.
Maybe someday.
Did you
Get her.
on Obsidian? Did you actually have a bell to make your own bell sounds, or was that
Good
picked
question.
up from somewhere else?
I had the same note about the church bell.
Well, Zach did that, and I don't remember exactly, but I feel like he got a sample somewhere, and then he tuned that sample to I don't remember if he went with C or B, but
Yeah, I can't
he was
remember.
he sent a few and was like, which, and we were putting them in there like what tone sounds better over this. So that was him. He's got all the I don't know, the sample ability.
Yeah.
He's into all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he went through like 10 different bell sounds before he found that one, and then was like, maybe if we tweak it here a little bit and make it sound like this, and then make it more echoey and stuff like that.
Because it
He was
has
definitely
a
mastermind.
similar sound to Hell's Bells, and I was just wondering, did they snatch that from AC/DC?
That'd be an expensive bell to borrow, I think.
Well,
Just
yeah,
from
you don't have to
another
tell me.
one. Or I feel like in Salt Lake City you might have your options for actual churches ringing bells, right? Because I feel like you could go do that. I could probably do that here in Central Florida,
Yeah.
and get something like that too.
Yeah, I mean, there's one big cathedral downtown that still has operational bells, but I think most of the churches that have bells anymore don't really use them.
Yeah, bells are the best part of them.
Yeah.
Speaking of Salt Lake City, from a scene standpoint, you mentioned Dwellers. So you guys are, Dave, you've been involved with those guys. They just put a new record out, I think, a couple months ago, right? You were in Dwellers. You played with them.
Yeah. Zach and I were in Dwellers for the first two albums, and this album Joey just did. He actually ended up writing a bunch of solo stuff, and he didn't know what he was going to call it. He ended up getting a session drummer to do the drums for him, and then he got like our buddy Oz to do the bass, and they recorded everything, and he just didn't know how he was going to release it. And eventually somebody was like, it sounds like Dwellers, just release it as Dwellers. So he hit up me and Zach and was like, are you guys cool with that? And we're like, yeah, of course, we haven't been doing anything forever, and he was the primary songwriter in Dwellers, so so he wrote an awesome album, and they're gonna be playing in Salt Lake in I think 2 weeks or something. So I'm gonna go watch them play for the first time without me being in the band.
They get to watch them. Is it I was looking at some of the Salt Lake bands that I know of. Iota being one of them, who I think they have connection to.
Joey
too, right.
Yeah, Joey is in Iota, and so is Oz. Who played, and then Andy was the drummer of it for, I think it was either the second or third album that they did, because I know they had other drummers before that. That's the connection there.
And then the other bands I know of specifically, and I'm going to ask you maybe some of your favorite bands locally, but Moon Wizard I'm familiar with just from their last record, and The Penitent Man, people were really high on that last record. Any other Utah bands that we should know of, or that people should listen to, that maybe you've played with, buddies of yours, or up and coming ones that we should know about, or are there not?
No, I think there's a lot. Like, the first one that always comes to mind is Eagle Twin. They're definitely like big. Like, I'm a huge fan of those guys.
Yeah.
They've always done a great job. They're always amazing live and stuff. Glossa is another one that I think is really cool, especially live. They're very large sounding and very, very heavy.
Yeah, Andy Patterson's drumming for that band too.
So there's a lot of kind of, I don't want to say a small scene, but you guys are kind of share bands a lot, I would say, out in the scene. Would you kind of cross over a lot on that way?
Yeah, I think it happens that way, and I think it's because like everybody's friends, so it's just.
Yeah, there's a term here that we say small lake city, where somehow, some way, everybody through association or some relation or something somehow. So it's like everybody just kind of knows everybody, and eventually just may or may not work together on doing stuff. So
Very cool.
It's a good-
I always ask scene questions just because I live in Central Florida and we just don't have really anything that I'm aware of here. Bands come through, they go to Orlando and whatnot, and there are a few that you get to hear and get to see. So I always like to ask about that, and I always also like to ask about the bands that the bands like, so I can load up my my Bandcamp wish list. So thank you guys for that.
When also Matt's band, Goat Sifter, is awesome.
What's the name?
A Goat Sifter.
Goat Scepter. I need more goat bands in my collection, so this is good.
We're kind of like a hardcore kind of punk type band. We actually played with Moon Wizard, and then we just played with some pretty cool doomy bands. What are they called? Moon Farmer is
Moon
a band,
Farmer, yeah.
they're really cool. They're kind of like a mix between like doom and kind of like thrash, I guess, a little bit. They're pretty cool. There was 2 Moon bands we played with, Moon Farmer and Moon Wizard, I think. Was it? Yeah. And they're both pretty heavy bands. They had chick singers. It was pretty good stuff. We didn't really fit the bill, but Hibernaut couldn't play it, so I'm like, I'll have my other band do it. So
Nice.
yeah,
Goat
it's
Scepter.
fun.
I need to check them out. And this is the part of the episode where someone mentions hardcore and punk, and Turbo looks at me like an idiot, saying he's going to ask hardcore and punk questions again. But I'm gonna. So, Matt, given that you're in you're playing a hardcore punk band, what are some of the bands that kind of you love from that genre, or have you just been kind of adopted into the hardcore
I
punk
kind
scene?
of got adopted into it. Like, it's not really, like I like what we do. It's a lot different than a lot of kind of like the hardcore punk that you would maybe think of. I guess we kind of have our own style, but I don't know. It's hard to really describe what other bands I would say that like really influence us. Because I'm like I adopted in that band as well, and I'm just kind of like a hired guy. It seems it's been a while since I've like written my own stuff for a band, so I'm all over the place. I like everything music wise usually. So
Goat Scepter.
just whatever sounds good, I'm like, all right, I'll try this out. And I was in a band called Thunderfist forever, and we were like straight up AC/DC style rock and roll, like a little bit dirtier, and we played with like Hell's Bells and stuff every time they came to town, and that was a fun band to be in. So, and that once again was kind of adopted into that band, but I don't know, just love play music.
But we grew up on punk.
Yeah,
we
grew up
like,
on punk.
That's
for sure.
that's the
Of
thing.
course,
Like,
you know.
I don't know if you feel like you grew up on punk or if you grew up more on metal. Like,
a little leaning more towards metal, but
Yeah.
a lot of punk in there. It was definitely the stepping stone, so to speak.
Obviously
Matt.
the Black Flags, all that kind of stuff. But
Awesome.
Who's our guest?
this is Zeke.
Love
Zeke.
He was starting to whine back there. He's like, "Why are you guys facing me?"
Oh, he's awesome. Matt mentioning an AC/DC band just to bring Turbo back into the conversation. That was very, very well done, Matt, even if you didn't mean to do it. Very, very well done. What else do you have for the guys? Turbo, you have any other questions for me?
As far as the B-sides go, Goner and the Dark... why can't I remember the name of this song? Dark Light.
Dark Light.
You did videos for them, but they're not on the album. What's the... is that just because they didn't fit into the theme, or are they separate altogether?
Goner is separate altogether. And, we almost included Dark Light on the album, but it was kind of a thing where it was like, it won't fit on a vinyl, and I like B-sides. Like, I like having this song where you're like, oh, like, I have to go over here to listen to it. And I can understand people not liking that, because we did singles this time. And, I mean, it's like, I grew up liking singles, but I guess at this point in my life, since I'm almost always working when I'm listening to music, that I hate singles, because I have to pull off my gloves and, like, go and, like, find the stuff. And I'm like, no, just play for an hour, please, Like, but yeah, so like I said, Goner's totally separate, and that song was written that was one of the first songs I wrote when just starting to write Ingress. And so it was just an old song. It was like, hey, this is a fun song. Like, I really like this part of it. Let's do it. And the videos came about, I think, because I've been so on the fence about, like, what are we going to do with the album? Like, is there a way to do some long format video, you know, that's going to kind of encompass the full story? And so just thinking about that and then procrastinating about it, I was like, well, I can make a couple little videos for B-sides, you know?
That's cool.
Was that you on the bike in the Gunner?
Yep. Yeah, pretty cheesy, but
That was a fun day.
it was fun. Yeah, I think it was right after band practice. I said, all right, guys, come to my house. Hop in, you know, Matt got in the back of my truck, Josh drove, and I just drove around him for a while and was like, all right, cool. Like, this will work.
It worked.
This is usually a Turbo question, but album art wise, killer. The singles and everything. Is that somebody who you work with in the past? One of your buddies who does the artwork, or is it something that you have kind of found somebody to that kind of meets your vision?
So it's Jordan Barlow, and he did our album artwork for Ingress and for Obsidian Eye, and then we just used little portions of that for the singles, since the singles are just online only, you know, currently. But yeah, it was really cool running into his stuff because I found it on Instagram and I didn't know who he was. I was just like, this is awesome and this is what I want. And you know, I contacted him, asked him if he'd be interested in doing it. I sent him the music and he was into it. And I mean, it's just awesome. Like, it makes me feel stupid that I don't know a lot of the artists for albums, because I'm like, oh, he's done High on Fire albums, like, you know,
Like versus the Automaton.
yeah, like a Saint Vitus cover, like Goat Whore, like so, and I'm like, oh, I feel stupid that I didn't know exactly who he was.
Yeah, I'm learning that too, because a lot of the art, you know, kind of looks familiar, and the style looks familiar, and I just don't know their names. So I'm learning a lot and talking to you guys and bands about the artwork and just how killer so much of the art that is in this scene specifically is. It's just amazing stuff. That's really cool. Who did we talk to, Turbo, where they told us that they were working with a buddy who wound up doing a Metallica album cover, and they gave him a friend price, which was good. I don't remember who it was, but it was funny because they used somebody like from the very beginning, and that guy blew up and did like the Metallica like repressing of Load or some shit like that. And they're like, yeah, we kind of got priced out of him, but he, you know, was still able to give us the friend price. So I think that's also cool, the way that people in the scene kind of, you know, they understand that this is not necessarily, you know, a money-making endeavor that the bands are doing, and they're willing to work with everybody, which is also very cool.
Mm-hmm.
What are you guys doing for shows? Are you playing out? Are you touring? What is that looking like?
The only thing we have booked right now is we're going to play with Conan and Mares of Thrace here in Salt Lake on September 21st. So we have that coming up. Nothing else. We are looking at booking a tour next year and hopefully going to Canada and, I mean, anywhere else we can. I think just right now it is a lot with having Zach, our drummer, not here. There's a lot of logistical things to work out, and we will work them out because we're able to write music, you know, with him not being here. But yeah, right now, just kind of taking it slow and making music. So I'm happy because, I mean, we also have a split we're going to be doing with a band named Face Pulp, and we've recorded that. And that will be coming out later this year. We're working on our third record. So
nice.
So we're busy, and I'm happy. I'm happy making music.
Awesome. And breaking news here that you're doing a split single with Faith Pulp. I think I'd like to break news on the show. I don't know Faith Pulp, so I'm gonna have to go investigate who those guys are.
I'm wearing their shirt right now. Even
Excellent. Faith Pulp. Can't wait to check out what those guys are all about. Very cool.
They're a really good grindcore band from Arizona.
Nice. Okay. Excellent. I'm looking at them now. They look like a fine group of gentlemen. That looks. I think this is going to be a killer split. Are you doing physical media for that, or are you just doing a digital split?
Yeah, we'll do a 12-inch split. And the only reason we haven't released it is because we're waiting to get all the layout all done. So
Excellent.
Once that's done, we can send it to the pressing plant.
Are you guys putting that out yourselves, or are you working with a label?
We're gonna put it out ourselves, but there is a record store that also does a label that is gonna go in on it with us.
Nice.
I'm forgetting their name right now, unfortunately. They're friends of Face Pulp, so maybe that's why I'm forgetting it. But anyway,
Yeah,
it's awesome
we will.
that they're down to do that,
Yeah, very cool, very cool. And yeah, hit me up, let me know what that is, and I'll shout it out on the next show just to let everybody know that that's coming. Very cool. So thank you guys. This has been awesome. And for those of you who have enjoyed this interview and just like heavy, really awesome music, Friday, new Hibernaut record comes out July 11th. It's called Obsidian Eye. Buy the vinyl from Olde Magick Records, and I'm not doing this to try to get free shit from them. I just like the shirt. They have cassettes too, CDs. Anybody overseas, not here in the U.S., Kozmik Artifactz has it, correct, if I'm not mistaken, based on what I'm seeing on the Bandcamp page here. There's only 273 of them, guys, so get on it. Make sure you get one because the record is killer. If you like heavy shit like we do, but also an understanding of just kind of song structure and story structure and even a little bit of melody in there as well. You're not just out there to pummel, you're out there to actually be catchy in your own heavy way. Go listen to the new Hibernaut record because we love it. And guys, thanks for coming on. Please come back again to talk to us about whether it's the split, the new record, whatever you guys want to do. We'd love to have you guys back.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
thank you guys. Awesome. And thank you everybody for listening. And I feel cheesy for saying this, but like, subscribe and all that shit that YouTube people say, because I want people to hear this stuff. So please do that, and please listen to the show, because you get to hear from awesome bands that you might not have heard of, like Hibernaut. So thank you guys. Have a great night, and thanks again.
Cool. Thanks so much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.